Thank you so much, Chelsea, for giving us your time and being part of Community Deep Dive and doing this conversation with us. I know this is going to be really thrilling and insightful for all the people who are going to listen to this, and I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, I'm ready. I know you have some questions prepared, so.
So, let's start with this because I just don't want this to be about work and, what you do in your daytime and all that. So I would, in fact, want everybody who's going to listen to this and read about this, who is Chelsea outside of work? Because, I know a lot of community folks, they're always just thinking about work and, on Slack or Discord or the groups that you manage. But what do you do when you're not working?
Yeah. So I'm based in New York City. I just moved to Astoria, Queens a couple of months ago. And I'm born and raised in New York. I moved to the city when I was 18. So Chelsea outside of work is someone that really likes to get into the thick of it in New York. I have not exhausted my list of things that I want to see and do in New York City. I feel like a lot of folks come here and they're like, wow, Empire State Building and Statue of Liberty. I still want to do those things. There's no shame in the tourist attractions. So outside of work, I really enjoy just exploring New York, new eats, new attractions, new things to do and see, and try to be a part of the communities that are outside of the digital space. I think, as a remote worker who's kind of in my little home office cubicle, like, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, it's important for me to go out and have FaceTime with real actual people. So I've been actually being a community participant in some recent groups that I found of folks like young professionals, work from home folks, like a ladies group in my neighborhood in Astoria, Queens. And so that's been really amazing for me too, because I'm kind of putting my money where my mouth is. I'm like, okay, I'm a community builder. I need to also be a community participant. Yeah. So that's a new little adventure for me.
I totally resonate with you because I am a remote worker, and it's usually my screen, my laptop, and that desk where I am spending most of my time of the day. Mm-hmm. And usually when it's the evening or the weekend, I'm like, no, I need to get out of the screen and, just meet people in person at offline events or, other communities and be like a part of other group. So that's totally, I 100%, I feel the same thing. Thanks for answering that. I'm glad. Next time when I'm in New York, I'll definitely ask you more recommendations of the places I need to visit. Because obviously I've just went to the Rockefeller Center, Brooklyn Bridge, and all those museums that everybody's.
Yeah, those are the main spots to check off. So you did it right.
Yeah. Super. Thanks for answering that. I got to know this from Divya that you have worked heavily in customer success and the student support programs. Is there any major learning that, this kind of role probably helped you being a better director of community? What are probably the learnings that you took from there and that you're using it right now in this new role?
Yeah. So just a little background. I have a degree in higher education administration, and I worked in higher education for most of my professional career. But in 2021, I decided to make a career pivot into tech. So in terms of, I feel like tech years are like dog years. It's like 7 years for every 1 year. So now I feel like I'm pretty seasoned in the tech space. But I learned a lot from that transition. And if I were to make parallels between community in tech and community building in the higher education space, I think the similarities there are that you have to be an active listener in whatever spaces you are with your potential users or community members. Going into this role as director of community at Expert Session, my first priority was I need to speak one-to-one with prospective users and understand why they would even get value from the platform as a foundation, and why they would get value from a potential community. And in my roles working in higher education, it was sort of the same types of conversations. Instead of users, I was meeting with students. And with those students, I would ask them, why do you want to be a part of this group? What kind of groups do you want to see? What do you want to get out of the college experience? What challenges are you faced with, and how can a group help you navigate those challenges? We're solving the same problems, whether it's community in tech or community in higher education. It really is just all about showing up as your authentic self and actively listening to what the community member or prospective member wants to solve and wants to be a part of, and making those things come to life, come to fruition. So there's a lot of parallels there between higher education and tech. In terms of the parallels between customer success and community, I think it's in what I brought into this role as director of community from my previous roles in customer success. Sometimes things don't go according to plan, and you have to put on a customer success hat in a community role to maintain the energy of the conversation in the groups. So in my conversations as director of community with prospective users, there were times where, we're an early product. We launched just last year, and there are instances where users would hop on and there would be a bug or a technical glitch in their onboarding experience. And having the background and knowledge of working in customer success, I knew how to navigate those types of conversations where it's like, okay, the foundation of your experience is not, eventually I want to get to the belonging tier in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I have to fulfill the safety. Do you feel safe in this space? And can you rely on our product to solve your problem? So there are instances where, you have to put on a customer success hat and really approach some of the barriers or blockers a user is facing before you can even get to that step of cultivating them as a community member. So that's kind of the interwoven pieces there.
Yeah. I just got remembered about that time when I used to handle a B2C community which had thousands of members, and there's every day, every minute there are so many messages. There's always somebody is having a problem. And in the beginning, it was okay, I have to answer each and every bit of question. But the best part was when other members started answering the queries and questions to them. And I think that's a magic moment in the journey of as a community leader, where other members have started to help you. But in those early days, I was probably behaving like a customer success manager as well. Where you have to be patient and you have to prioritize that support that they need. So definitely, I think it's a great switch and a great journey. Before we dive into a bit of specific questions with respect to Expert Session, why don't we just explain it to everybody in one-liner about what it does? And of course, we'll put the link of the website and everything in the description of this episode as well. But how would you describe somebody, especially people who are not from US? What does Expert Session do?
Yeah. Expert Session is a platform where anyone who's looking for personalized advice, to solve a problem, to learn a new topic or skill, can find a qualified expert in their desired industry or topic and meet with them on a one-to-one paid session. So, for example, if you're looking to transition in your career and you want a career coach to have a conversation and learn some insights, you can come to our platform, find a career coach, book time with them, and get those insights live. So we're hoping it can be a personalized space where you can learn and grow from speaking to qualified professionals.
Got it. And these can be smaller sessions as well as, let's say, consecutive multiple sessions as well, right? Like
Yeah,
depends
yeah.
on how you want to take the coach.
Absolutely. It can be a short 15-minute session, or I think our durations go up to 8 hours. I don't know if
Oh, wow.
anyone would want an 8-hour session just back to back, but we do
Yeah.
offer it. So it really is up to the user themselves.
Got it. And I've heard this that even before the community initiative was launched, you spoke to like 100 or more than 100 people in a one-on-one conversation, like before the product was launched as a part of community initiative. 100 over 100 one-on-one conversation is a lot. Tell us about how did you do that? What were like your learnings, and how did this probably the product building experience and understanding about the consumers and the people who are going to be part of this helped you in starting the community initiative?
Yeah. I was in a unique spot when I was hired as director of community and partnerships here, because I was hired before our platform had even launched. And when I came onto the team, it was really just a crew of engineers and the founders. And my goal and their goal for me was, get us some users. Let's build this community. And I'm like, well, we can't build a community without users. And we still need to understand how, user validation, understanding what aspects of the product they enjoy, how we're creating value for them, how we can build the community with their thoughts and feelings in mind, and like what blockers are they running into in the product experience to potentially adopt using it. And we have two audiences of users. One, the experts who are providing the services, and the learners. So we decided to focus on the experts first. And so really what that involved is coming up with some questions to ask those users on calls. And myself and my two team members, we really just spent a month trying to find prospective people to reach out to. What we had no fancy way of doing that. We don't have Sales Navigator. We're like very scrappy. And so what that involved is really just going and searching in the dark, like with a flashlight, and being like, hey, this person is already offering some kind of knowledge-based services. Let's add them to our list. And once we had our list and we were able to cultivate over like 500 initial targets, we didn't have any outreach software at this point. So I just used a Google Mail merge. And so just sent it out into the stratosphere and, crossed my fingers. And we had some initial copy that we used in trying to get people initially interested in the product, and enough so that they would feel open to chat with me. And we formatted it as a feedback program. So the structured conversation was around their impressions of the platform, but I also wanted to fuse in some conversation questions around who they are as people. Like, I think, it's one thing to be like, oh, I like the aesthetic of the platform, I don't like this feature, but it's another to understand the why behind that as it correlates to their unique lived experience. And so
got it.
A lot of the questions would just be like, what are your fears? What challenges are you running into in your like professional or business life? What was your greatest highlight, professional highlight? What you, and then fusing in not only some questions to get to know who they are as people, but also get to know their perspectives on community. So I would ask things like, how can we build and support this community? Like, what would you want to see from us? What resources or future events or initiatives or engagement efforts can we put together that you would actually want to attend? Because going into thinking about community and doing a ton of community research and learning about community-led growth, I feel like there's a lot of examples of community where it's like, hey, we have a Facebook group, and there's 55,000 members. Wow. And then you join and it's like a product support dumping ground. And people are just like, yeah, my thing is broken, and there's no real community engagement happening there. But
Yeah.
surface level, it's like, we have a community of 55,000. Like, wow, it's shiny. But underneath the surface, you take a peek behind the curtain, and it's, not that impressive
Yeah.
or valuable. So going into these conversations with, at this point, over 100 prospective users, and the large majority of them became actual experts on the platform to offer services, I needed to understand, like, okay, maybe a Facebook group is valuable. Maybe you want to be part of that, but I need to ask the right questions during these initial conversations to understand what it is I'm even looking to build. And so I think that was a crucial piece, that focus of who you are as a person. Yes, let's touch on the platform and get your initial feedback there so that we can pass that on to the product team. But most importantly for me, and selfishly for me, I wanted to understand what folks actually wanted to see. And so now that I have those insights, I'm sort of just in this holding pattern for right now, because I want our user base to grow a little bit more before I flip anything on. But we're starting to, take some initial steps this quarter to bring folks together in a more meaningful way.
So this would be more like a product and community initiative. Doing those more than 100 conversations was helpful for the product development as well as your next steps about when you decide to launch the community initiative in general, right?
Yeah.
Got it. So at the point where, let's say, the community vertical had not started yet, and this was more like in the head and heart, how did you convey this to the stakeholders, that okay, I'm going to focus my time right now on this? So what was the conversation like with the founders or the people that you were working with?
Yeah. Well, I think first off, I'm in a lucky position where they invested in a community partnerships role on their founding team for the startup. And so they already saw the value of having community as a strategic pull lever to grow a platform and generate kind of that flywheel of promotion and referrals. So that already, the foundation there, I'm very blessed to be in a spot where that's the case, because I know from speaking to other community professionals, there's a lot of fighting against the founding team and in trying to communicate the value of community. I'm in a lucky spot where I don't have to do that as much. I think though there is always confusion if you don't work directly in community. I think there's always confusion of what is community, and what I found in my research and starting to build at Expert Session, it looks different everywhere. And you have to define it specifically for what your business is hoping to achieve and what the value of community would be for your members that you're trying to serve, and find this middle ground. And so in those conversations, especially when we were just starting out, they were like, okay, well, if we bring people together for events, how does that help grow the platform? And you have to kind of make your case and break it down to say, well, we're hitting a lot of things with what is the term? It's like two birds, one stone kind of thing, which is like a violent metaphor. Maybe we should come up with a healthier one, like 2 eggs, 1 pan or something. Things like events bring people together, yes, but they, with brand awareness, if you show people a good time, they are going to remember who Expert Session is and talk about it with their network. So it'll be organic growth. They will sign up as experts or learners. They will feel more aligned to our brand and want to be a part of it if we show them a warm foundational experience at an event. And so with defining community in your executive team, even at a team like mine where they are investing in community, there's always that conversation that needs to be had where you're defining why you're pursuing the pathways you're pursuing, and how that is going to positively impact the business and the bottom line there. Because at this point, we're an early company. I can't make the direct connection, like building a community equals like infinite revenue. Like that's not going to be the outcome. But these are all, as long as you pave the path and put the cobblestones down to say, like, here are the foundational ways that we're going to get there, the ultimate like revenue unlock. And it's a slower process, and it's not going to be an A to B type of conversion where community member joins and infinite sessions get booked. Having that conversation, just being transparent there, I think is key, and has really helped me along my path.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you where, in the 0 to 1 journey, you cannot just say that, okay, this initiative that I'm doing within community, it is going to give you $10,000 of revenue, or this is how it's influencing your bottom line. And I think that's a little difficult in the 0 to 1 journey sometimes. Of course, there are people who have done that as well. Like they have proven, okay, if you do this particular initiative, it does impact the bottom line. But the most cases that I observe, it's not always possible. At the same time, the understanding of community, if you even move from a city to a different city, forget about country to country or different continent, it's people perceive it in a different manner. Especially like in India, I've known so many founders who have invested in, let's say, hiring a director of community and, putting that effort. Most of them kind of die down after 6 months or 9 months because they don't understand that this is a long-term game. You cannot just expect it to be like, okay, let's do this one event, or let's just launch this Facebook group and let's see how it goes. And just 6 months later, you just like shut it down. So I think the understanding of it is also like very, very different across the country.
I think like an extra point there is like, I think there's this misconception when like on the level of thought with someone who doesn't understand community, where it's like, oh, more is better. Like, oh, we had, 300 people attend the event. What a success. Yeah. But it's not about how many people are in the Facebook group or in the Slack group or at the event. It's about the meaningful connections you're able to cultivate and how you're able to communicate the brand message and get people aligned to that a bit closer. And so we had an event in October, our first event. We partnered with a woman in tech supportive community called Alpha, and we hosted it as part of New York City Tech Week. And we had over 1,000 RCP requests, which was amazing. Like, we were very, very happy to see that. The capacity of the space was only like 100. So, we can only allow so many people through the door. But one of the questions that came up, amongst my team, or I guess outside of my team, was, wow, like 1,000 people, what a success. And it's like, yes, that is a success, but 900 people weren't able to be in the room. And so we have to figure out creative ways to communicate about expert session to those other 900 people who are not getting the real life experience of brand and what we mean, what our ethos are. And that's a lot harder to communicate over an email than it is to like be in the flesh and have a conversation with somebody. So, it was a success, but not in the way that community is really, defined.
Yeah. But I would still say it's a good problem to have, like 1,000 people RSVPing. It's a good problem to have. Okay, so now that you have done the initial research with respect to the product, what people think, what the experts think, and of course to users as well, what point or what stage are you at right now? Are you already planning the launch of the community? What does your next 30, 60, 90 days look like with the plan for the next community initiative?
Yeah. So right now on our product journey, we're at a point where there's still room to grow on both the expert and the learner side. We're happy with the way that we've kind of scaled up in these past like couple of months, but for me, I want to drive efforts that bring new people into the fold, support the users that we already have in getting closer to our mission of the community, which for us is how can we provide the skills and resources for people to monetize their expertise? Like, what do they need to be successful on our platform? Because everyone joining our platform as an expert, these are folks that are either already monetizing what they know and doing paid sessions elsewhere, or having course content already distributed. Maybe they're content creators. These are folks that are already kind of in the fold and they're coming to our platform for another revenue stream. Or these are people who have cultivated a number of years of experience. Maybe they've been, 20 plus years as a product leader, and they have people dropping into their inbox on LinkedIn all the time saying, hey, can I pick your brain? And they've just been doing that for free. And this is a way for them to monetize that. But in both levels of user and expert, there is still room to grow for both of them. And we want to cultivate a place where they have all the tools in their toolbox so that they can be successful on the platform. They know how to structure their profile. They know how to run their sessions. They know how to share that they're hosting sessions on their platforms and generate that momentum for their own expert business. And we want to provide tools and resources around that. So eventually we want the community to be a place where community members are helping each other with that goal. And we're starting to do that now through the events lens. So all of the events that we're hosting in our Q1, we want to feature experts in categories or topics that other experts would align with and need the support in. And so we're featuring an expert in the community. We're inviting the community members. They're learning from that expert, and then they have the opportunity to, connect with them offline or book a session with them if they want to learn more. And so one example that we're doing in February is we're partnering with a LinkedIn strategist and one of our experts on the platform named Erin Anderson. And she is going to do a LinkedIn branding workshop where she is walking through all of the tips and tricks that she has cultivated over her years of experience of how to shape and format your LinkedIn so that you're not the one, putting and firing applications out. The opportunities are coming to you. And so when we approached Erin, we did so with the intentionality in mind of, we want to give you a stage to shine because you've cultivated this very, valuable skill. And we know that our expert community is searching for ways to boost their LinkedIn presence because they're trying to make money on our platform. And so it's that full synergy that we're starting to formulate with the events that we're hosting in Q1.
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like you're parallelly building and working for two communities, like one with the experts that you have, and of course then the learners that have to do you balance them? Are they one? Like how do you function it operationally as work?
Yeah, that it's a unique challenge because the marketplace, right? We have two sides of the coin. And I think though, with the events that we're hosting too, which I didn't exactly touch on, a LinkedIn branding workshop is not only just for experts, it's for learners who also are looking for that skill outside of, being an expert on the platform. So not only is every expert a learner, because every expert is always trying to grow and expand their skill set, but they're also folks that are not experts on the platform, but are uniquely looking for LinkedIn support. And so inviting, everyone in our community, both experts and learners, to this. And I think what's great about this is the experts and learners here with the event that we're hosting, they have the same problem, and we're bucketing it all in one package. I think there are obviously going to be differentiations between the expert and the learner community when we're looking to build those in more of a bringing members together capacity. But I think we're in a good spot in terms of how our marketplace is structured, because every expert is a learner, and every learner is an expert at something. And so I think there's dual identity that exists in our platform that we can really play upon when we're looking to build the community.
Yeah, I relate to this at so many levels, because when I was heading community for a similar marketplace of creators, and we had the, let's say, I would say the customers and also the freelancers. So it was like, okay, I'm sometimes doing events for the customer, sometimes for the freelancer. There are also points where both of them are present. So I relate to this a lot. And I can go on with this conversation for quite some time, but in the interest of time that we have available, I have 3 questions that I want to ask before we end this. And all the 3 questions could be more like, okay, what are the first thoughts that come to your head? More like a 30-second, 40-second kind of an answer. The very first question is, so with the word community and the industry of community has always seen the ups and downs, and sometimes people feel like, okay, this is the next big trend. Sometimes people feel like, oh no, the community industry is going down and all those things. Where do you think right now we stand at?
Like what is the future of community?
Yep.
I think it's really the community everywhere era. And I know this is a phrase that's been coined, I think, by Richard Millington of Feverbee, but don't quote me on that one. But essentially, community is everywhere. It's not not a company-led forum where you go and members help answer each other's questions. It's not just a Slack group. It's not just a one-time event. It's not just how prospective and current users engage in our social media channels. It's everything. It's how that member feels after they have a conversation with me. I want them to walk away being like, that was a great conversation. I feel better in my day, and I have a more positive association with Expert Session. And I want that person to then take that feeling and experience and share it with someone close in their life. And then I want that person to get, interested in what we're building, perhaps join as an expert or learner, and have a good experience on the platform, and then share that with someone close to them in their life. So it's more organic. It's not like this curated box that we, as Expert Session, we're saying this place is our community. No, it's free flowing, it's holistic, and it's all about making sure that the person you engage with, whatever format or environment that is, they walk away with a better feeling than when they came in.
Got it. Next question. What are 3 trends that you are anticipating in the community industry in this year, or let's say the next 2 years?
Yeah, I think in-person events are already making a comeback. And that's what was surprising to me in my feedback interviews with, over the 100 folks I chatted with. Most people preferred in-person events. And there were a lot of people that expressed to me having Slack community fatigue, where I even do too. Personally, I'm a part of 15 Slack channels. So I'm like, oh, wow, these are so great. And I do get a lot of value from them. But to be honest, at the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is comment on a Slack post. I want to be out in the world meeting people in the flesh. And so I think in person and investing in in-person events, because it is an investment, it takes more resources, it takes more time, it takes more money, but the value that people get from that experience, I think we're going to see it be a major unlock for growing a startup.
Got it. Okay, and we started this conversation by talking about something outside of work. We'll also end it on that note. Because you have had such diverse experience, from education to customer success, and now as a community leader, if you had to give an advice to your 18-year-old when you were just starting out in your journey, what would that advice be?
Oh man, I think it would be, don't sweat so much about the set ladder that you put in place for yourself, because I was very much by this time I'm going to do this, by this time I'm going to do this. And that's just like not how it went at all.
It never worked.
Honestly, I don't know if like I have like a set career, like I'm a community professional now, and I really enjoy it. But who's to say that I might like try a different industry or role in the future? And so I think the advice there to my 18-year-old self, learn what a generalist is and know that it's okay to be a generalist.
Oh, wow. I'm glad that we are closing on this note, because to so many people that, are from my college or my juniors, and they keep asking me, should I maybe do a master's in XYZ stream or an MBA and all that? I'm like, no, just go work in a startup. We have that like experience of maybe working in a founder's office team or something else. Just like go try your hands at this and then decide what you really want to do. Because honestly, like once you start doing either a particular function or departmental work, you try to understand more that, okay, do I enjoy this or not? And doing a master's or a degree or anything else, a course later on after that probably like helps, rather than just blindly deciding, okay, my friends or my other people are like doing this, I should also do that. So I'm glad. I in fact, like I would also tell this to my 18-year-old self, if I have to give the advice, that maybe just try your hands at too many things and then figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, it's like I learned more through crossing things off my list than anything else. So
super. I'm glad we started this with places to visit in New York, and we're ending this that you should try your hands at many things, be a generalist rather than just setting that particular stones for your career ladder. Chelsea, I think this was a nostalgia experience for me, because I know when I was running community for a marketplace, a lot of similarities with what you're doing right now, and I wish you all the best. And I hope I've known some of these platforms that are based out of India, but I'm gonna check out expert sessions and see if probably I can contribute in some way and be part of it. And I'm glad that we did this conversation. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Yeah, thank you. And I should mention before we close that currently learners can be international, but right now we can only support US-based experts. So anyone watching, you can book a session with an expert, but if you're not based in the US, we will serve you eventually. We can add you to our waitlist if you sign up, but just wanted to get that out there just in case.
Done. And of course, we have some of our listeners and viewers from US, and I think that would benefit to them. And we'll also mention the link to the website so that they can sign up on a newsletter or get to know about the waitlist or when it's out globally. But awesome. Yes, thank you so much once again for doing this. I had a really fun time chatting with you. And yeah, next time I'm in New York, I'll definitely meet you in person over there.
Yes, definitely. We'll do touristy and non-touristy things.